Hey guys.
Oh my god, I thought we were going to say the same thing at the same time, but we
Nope,
didn't.
we failed.
It's okay. Hi.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to Where Are We Growing? We're growing from my couch today. We're in my apartment because we are talking about
Monsteras.
It is Monstera week. Talking all things. I was going to come up for a fancier name for Monstera, but delicious monsters. The very fun genus. It is its own genus, by the way. There's our first fun fact.
Yes, it is. It is not a philodendron.
No, philodendron, Monstera, different genera. Genuses is not a word. Thank you, TikTok. I love people leaving nice TikToks, like, correcting me. Like, actually, genuses is not a word, bestie. And I'm like, okay, genera. We're out here learning words. But yeah, Monstera. There are, I think, over 45 species according to Wikipedia. And they're native to the Americas. Mm-hmm. Some people, like in the tropical Americas, obviously not.
Central and South.
Yeah, I was like, not up where we are.
Up here in Minnesota, there are no natural monsteras.
I'm very jealous of the people who have them in their yards, though. Supposedly, I don't think it's something that everyone just has in their yards. Like, I think it's kind of more of a landscape plant. Like, it's not something that is just growing all over the place.
Yeah.
I thought that was the case with palm trees when I was driving all over Florida. And then I got to in the middle of Florida, and I'm like, this looks like North Dakota. Where are the palm trees?
I don't think there's actually any palm trees native to North America, or if there are, they're like not like what we think of as palm trees.
Mm-hmm. And I think Florida's the only state that is really zone 10, like has a zone 10. I think is the very tippy end of it.
Sam's in New Orleans right now, and she said she saw a whole block of monsteras, which would be cool to see.
That would be really cool. I think I saw some actual split-leaf philodendrons down when I was in Florida. And we'll get there too, but yeah, monsteras. Do you know how many you own of like monstera species?
I don't have that many species, but the number I own is just too many.
Too many monsteras. I know.
I have Deliciosa, Elbow Borsigiana, Peru. I think that's it.
You have,
but I have like.
Did you say Standeliana?
Oh yeah, I do have that too.
Standeliana.
Yeah.
Do you have any Siltbacana? You should get some Siltbacana.
Yeah, I don't have Stilt.
I really am liking mine.
Yeah, it's really cute. I
have my collection for those of you, because none of you are watching.
we'll have to take a picture of this.
Yes. We'll post some pictures this week on our Instagram. Go follow us over at Where Are We Growing of some of our monsteras. Maybe we'll post some other people's cool monsteras. Maybe not. We'll see. Maybe on our story.
I had a weird moment today because I have someone picking up an order like literally right now, and I'm like, what if I'm like gone from the house and they steal my big monstera from my front door?
Oh my god! The person who's picking up their order is like, oh my god, I can't believe he thought I was going to steal his plants. I'm never coming back. That would be not good. I think I saw a Facebook post earlier today about people asking, like, hey, have anyone gotten their plants stolen? I don't think I would lose my mind. Now that I think about it, I think I would have to have some type of like private porch or balcony, like something where people cannot get near it.
The only reason I'm comfortable with it is because I'm always home and I'm always looking outside, and with that big door there, like I'm pretty.
And you have some nosy neighbors.
Yeah.
So they'd be like,
who are you? Like, I'm afraid they're going to be like calling the police on people picking up orders.
And you have like bugs swarming everywhere, so that'll deter people as well. And some pretty intimidating cats in the door. Anyways, moving on. Let's clarify some things that actually aren't monsteras.
Yeah.
So I did a TikTok on this recently. Split-leaf philodendron. A lot of people buy actual Monstera deliciosas as split-leaf philodendron.
Like that's what they're labeled as.
Yeah, that's what they're labeled as.
Companies.
And then people are like, I thought this was a split-leaf philodendron, but it looks awfully like a Monstera. And almost every time people send me a picture of it, and I'm like, yeah, that's a Monstera. And if you here's the thing. I was going to say, if you Google a picture of a split-leaf philodendron versus Monstera, I think it's still going to come up with Monsteras. But what is the actual split-leaf philodendron? Is that supposed to be like the Hope? Or what that one's been reclassified to, Thematophyllum or something.
That's now been it's because I don't think, like, was it at one point classified as a split-leaf philodendron, and then it got reclassified, and now it's reclassified yet again?
I don't know. all those, even like those, like the philodendron xanadu and all that stuff, like I don't mess with them anyways. I don't like how they look.
They're too big and
They're
scary.
weird looking. They're meh.
They look like hands to me, but like scary demon hands. They're just too bushy.
Yeah, not a fan. But since we're not talking about philodendrons, I think, do we have philodendron week coming up?
Yes.
Is that next week? No, it's not.
That's coming up. I don't know.
Coming up. Yeah, we'll have philodendron fever coming up. But
we have everything mapped up. We got to do a little switcheroo, so it'll be on its way.
Another
one.
and
we have to book. We want to book some guests, so we have to make sure we get the guests booked.
Move around like when guests are actually available and switch some weeks around. But anyways, another thing that's labeled a Monstera that's not a Monstera is Miss Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. Mini Monstera is what a lot of people know this one as.
Monstera Ginny.
Yeah, Monstera. Is it Ginny or Guinea or something?
Yeah.
Or even like philodendron Guinea. That's what they'll call it.
Mm-hmm.
They'll call it everything, but Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. Yeah. So if you look up Mini Monstera and you're seeing this little thing that looks kind of like it has fenestrations like a Monstera, that's not a Monstera. It's not. I'm pretty sure is Rhaphidophora its own genus.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Like the Hei is a Rhaphidophora.
Yep, so that's in their own thing. I was even looking up a list of Monsteras just so I could like spell things correctly in our little list, and it came up. It literally labeled it as Monstera Rhaphidophora Mini whatever. I was just like, they slap it all together. I'm like, okay. They're like, there's no way I can get this wrong if I just put all the names in it that people call it. And then I don't know what else was in there, but there were some things where I was like, yep, that's not a Monstera. That's not a Monstera. Also,
I want to know what point of history like this confusion happened, like because it is widespread. It is not just like, oh, people mispronounce it once in a while. It's like people are like, there's like actual mislabelings and like it's like systemic
growers.
Issues that it's wrong in the plant hierarchy. Like I just don't understand why that happened or like what caused that to happen.
I almost feel like a lot of the people in the industry like started with gardening and stuff like that, where maybe names aren't as serious, and it's just like, I don't know, they just don't really care.
It's very weird to think.
You know? But moving on, let's talk about some of the species that are hitting the market right now and hot commodities in the Monstera genus, because I think a lot of people go for the philodendrons and stuff, but there's a lot of Monsteras that are getting on people's wish lists and popping up in stores.
Yeah, they're just harder to find, so I feel like people don't know as much about them. Like, most people I feel like are just like, oh, there's like an elbow and a deliciosa and an Addisoniae.
There's so many other cool Monsteras to look for. And I was also, this just popped into my head for name and like nomenclature. Is that a word?
Yeah, that is.
Look at
you. Yeah.
Okay.
You're using it right.
Okay. Look up a National Aroid Society. A lot of people give me that resource as like the best thing online to go to for actual answers, you know, and like this is what we're calling it now. Like when things are actually reclassified, all of that stuff should be up to date on National Aroid Society. So I guess go check that out. But some species. So some of the stuff that we have sitting in front of us, obviously there's Deliciosa, and those I feel like a couple of years ago that was like the house plant to have, and I think people are kind of over it now, right?
I kind of think so too, a little bit. I mean, I don't think they'll ever be. I don't think people will ever be over it.
I'll never get sick of looking at her, but
I think people who are like collectors, those type of people.
Yeah, it's not on their wish list. It's not, and I think also some new plant parents. I think because the hype of Monstera deliciosa is gone, like they don't get that plant right away.
Yeah.
People aren't hyping that plant up anymore. And I think almost everyone should have Monstera deliciosa. I don't know. I love them.
It was a tipping point plant for me. Like, that's when I was like, okay.
Oh, yeah. That's the one that would grow. That's my plant. That's probably one of the plants I've had for the longest, because I was like, wow, I can take care of this.
Yeah, it was my plant that made me go from 20 plants to 100 plants real quick.
Yes. I think, yeah, I'd have to say so, too. But I think the next one besides deliciosa that I got was, I think, Peru and Addisoniae. But Peru was like the first Monstera that I got that wasn't something that you could just like find everywhere.
Yeah.
But I think they're becoming more common left and right. The prices I think are still all over the place, but weren't there even some baskets of Peru at some big box stores?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen any, but
Yeah, I thought that there were some and they just never came back. I don't know if they were at Home Depot or Lowe's or something, but people were finding huge baskets of Perus. And that's the second I was like, okay, I'm not spending a dime on one now.
Yeah.
Like, the second I see people finding them in the big box stores, that's when I'm like, okay, I know I won't pay. Which more people should have that attitude, okay? More people, the second you see that it's becoming more readily available, you shouldn't be as quick to spend $500 on said plant, you know? Or I'm being dramatic. Yeah, tie. I literally just saw a TikTok about that from someone who was like, hey guys, so I bought, it literally was what's their name? When I'm dead, water my plants or something. And they posted a TikTok about how they picked up a tie for like $500 off this website a couple years ago, and now it's up to $900 plus. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, why? We know that these are coming out.
I don't get it.
Why are we still? I think we're gonna get more into tie versus Alba later on in Thursday's episode probably. But anywho, we digress. But Peru is fun. I like her.
I like the crinkleness, like the thickness of it.
Speaking of crinkle, when I got my radicans, my Anthurium radicans, so many people were like, oh my god, I have that one, I love it, I got it at Costco. And I'm like, no you didn't. Like, they think it's a Peru. And I'm like, oh no, I did not spend that much on a plant for people to think it's a Peru. No. But yes, I love Miss Peru. I actually previously had one, and then I traded it off, and I had to get another. I was like, I need her back in my life.
Yeah. And I feel like they're really, like, because this size I see going for like 40, 50 usually when I see it, like in a store, which I think it's not that bad. I mean, I don't really realistically know plants should be $50, but in today's climate. Yeah,
I know people who aren't plant people be like, $50 for a plant is good. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no. But then Ansonia, I know that she causes a lot of confusion, by her name and her shape and all that encompasses that group. But there's more than just wide form and narrow form people need to keep in mind.
Yes, there's tons.
And there's some that people will have and claim it's like do you say obliqua or oblique?
Obliqua.
I say obliqua. Some people say obliqua. And
there's a Q in there.
There's a Q. But also we're Americans, so we pronounce everything weird, so who knows? Who knows who's saying it wrong? I always think I'm probably saying stuff wrong, because, yeah, I'm the white girl. I should always assume that I'm wrong, is good,
and
good logic.
I have a Yooper accent, so even if I say it right, it still sounds wrong.
But I actually really love looking at my wide form Adansonia and the narrow. I really like the narrow better.
I like the wide better.
I like the wide? Mm-hmm. I think because I've been into the Cebu Blue Pothos lately, and I think because the narrow Adansonia looks like Cebu Blue, or just like any epipremnums in general. And I don't know why I like it a lot.
I do have about 400 cuttings of narrow growing right now.
Are you serious? Well, when I kill mine, then I'll be knocking on your door, because as you can see, there's some, I pulled some off, but there were some yellowing leaves because mine got really thirsty. That's what I do to pretty much all my plants. It's usually why I have yellowing leaves.
Oh, yeah.
I don't water anything.
And another part of why it took me so long today was, like, I didn't realize that all my plants were on the verge of death from not watering.
Oh, you were, like, running late today, and you're like, oh, I have to quit.
I went through 3 gallons of fish tank water today.
Oh, my gosh. Just running around watering plants. Yeah, you were on your way, and I was like, okay, I'm just sitting on my couch repotting a syngonium, getting soil everywhere. But I love some Adansonia. I definitely took a very long time to get them because whenever I see the baskets at the stores, first of all, they're very overpriced.
And they look scary.
And they look horrible. They're always horrible. But I saw this cute little pot, trailing pot of narrow form from Disco Greenhouse out in the Bay Area, and got it shipped to me, and it arrived perfectly, and it looks great. And I hope that it keeps growing. I've gotten a lot of plants from her, and they look all awesome.
Yeah, I just threw away my wide form because it just, well, I'm pretty sure it had mosaic virus. Aww. So I finally tossed it. Well, I burned it, but
I think that Adansonia too can have a lot of issues with nutrient deficiencies.
It was because I couldn't tell, because the thing with my leaves, and why I don't necessarily know if it was mosaic, is the leaves would grow in fine, and then they would slowly start to look disheveled. Like, then they would curl up and get the patterning. Oh. So it was because most mosaic viruses like stop the growth, and the growth comes in stunted.
Mm-hmm.
But my growth would come in normal. I'd have a perfectly good leaf. The bottom leaf would die off, and then the top leaf would crinkle up and get all gross, and then a new leaf would come. It was really weird. So I was like, this is too risky. These are just some cuttings I got, so I don't really care.
I wish our plants could talk to us and make it much easier.
I want to get that singing machine.
The thing where you click it, the synthesizer thing, where
you click it to them and then it plays music, like depending on their
mood.
Yeah.
It just sounds like woo, 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 woo. It doesn't sound like actual music. You could play. Oh my gosh, you should play some Plantasia in your home and just run around. My tattoo artist recommended that to me, and I was like, you know what, I should do that more. But we didn't touch on the baby form of Deliciosa, though. Going back to that. Some people will message me often asking if they have a philodendron or a monstera or whatever when it's in its
its infancy.
Yeah, its infancy, its juvenile form. Monstera deliciosa can look like kind of like a heartleaf philodendron or so when they're younger.
Like that one kind of looks like a tiny dancer alocasia even.
Yeah, she's hanging out. She actually looked really cute before she had 3 leaves. She looked like the little plant emoji.
Oh.
And now she has 3. This leaf is huge.
Yeah.
Really long petioles. Yeah, it kind of looks like a little seedling, but it was a little propagation from my big mama plant. It had roots, and I was like, I'm just going to throw it in a pot. This pot is actually way too big for it, which is probably why. It's taking forever. And we'll get into that too, but my Siltepecana here is in Leca. It came to me in Leca, and it's just loving it. It's like always putting out a new leaf, and I just moved it from like a different Leca setup to a better one, so yeah, I'm excited for her to take off. I really like the Siltepecanas.
Yeah.
I think that's
I like
one of my favorites.
The contrast of the greens. I think that's really pretty.
Yeah, it's fun and like ribbed, and I like that sometimes they look bluish too.
Mm-hmm.
Some people's, it's all about care. And yeah. But then my other one here, my little Standeliana albo. She's a little baby. Yeah. She's very fun.
Mine's putting out a new leaf, which I'm very excited about. I'm sure it'll be a tiny leaf since I put it through hell and back, but
I know the cutting that you forgot about. And its sister said goodbye.
Yeah, I had a cutting that I got from Half Moon Plant Co., and it was a beautiful 3-leaf cutting, really big leaves, really great. And I was like, it kind of has a growth point with new roots coming out. I'll cut it in half, and I did. And I was like, I just want to let it sit for like 45 minutes. And Nicole came over. What's that?
It was some type of day. It was like our first podcast planning day.
Oh, yeah. So we were just having too much fun, and then I forgot about it, and the roots shriveled up and almost died on the main cutting, and then the new cutting pretty much just is donezo now. So someday I'll have a growing plant.
I know. It's fun to start with barely nothing sometimes, and then watch it grow into a fun big plant. But then also I get impatient.
Oh,
there's so many plants where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to watch this grow into a big plant, and I've already traded it.
Like, the only reason I would want, like, a day job, like a true 9-to-5, is so that I'm away from my plants, so then it's more of a surprise.
I don't think I could be away from my plants. Like, I don't even want to leave for an hour sometimes. It's just like, what's out there that I can't do? And, like, I don't know. What joy am I going to get on the outside that I can't on the inside with these guys? One that we didn't touch on was Pinnata partita. What's that one look like?
It kind of looks...
I'm thinking it in my head, it's like it looks just like the Peru.
Yes.
But hard to tell when it doesn't have its fun little fenestrations yet. Correct?
Yes, because the little cutting Zoe gave us, she thought were Pinnapartitum, so we'll see. Like, they look very similar to a Peru now, but now that they're kind of hardening off, I'm noticing a little bit difference in the color. So maybe
we'll see.
We'll have to find out.
It's hard to tell. Yeah, I'm not good at those.
We'll update you guys in 8 months.
I also don't have dubia in any of. I don't think I have any shingling monsteras.
Although I think the dubia leaves are pretty, shingling plants for the most part just don't do it for me.
Yeah, and none of them, I don't love them either. But some of the like really big dubias, like when they're like already like, a couple inches, like the leaves are bigger, they look pretty fun when I see them in person. I'm like, ooh. But whenever I see them like online, I'm like,
yeah,
I can go without. Same with subpinnata. Yeah. That one is like also like a hand-looking one.
Oh, yeah.
Not a fan. Don't like her.
Yeah.
Also the Esqueleto.
I like the Esqueleto, but that's because I like the wide form.
Giant. Yeah, it's just like a big jumbo.
And Esqueleto's definitely on my wish list. But they're like not very common to run into.
I've been seeing them like popping up left and right, and Aeroid carries them, so I'm sure we'll see them. We'll be seeing more of her. And then Acuminata. I think that one also kind of is looking like a Adansonii. I can't picture that one in my head right now.
Let's pull up
Give it a little Google search. Acuminata. Have our little list here that we're
Acuminago.
Not correct. What do we got?
It just looks like a wide form.
Yeah, kind of in that.
Doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah, so beware. Not if it looks like it's not a narrow or wide form Adansonii, it doesn't mean it's an obliqua. There's a lot of other options out there. A lot of things that look similar, and I think even more unknown species too. Some people will be selling like Adansonii unknown.
Yeah.
Labeled, but yeah. Let's get into the overall care of Monstera.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, we get this question.
Oh yeah, it's probably
way more than I've ever could have imagined.
Yeah, probably one of my most common questions in the DMs is about Monstera deliciosa care in general. Too.
And in my opinion, and I know yours, I think they're so easy.
Oh yeah,
they're like my least cared for plants, honestly.
Oh yeah, it is sad how thirsty mine go, and it's just swatting away fungus. It's pretty crazy how thirsty some of them are, and even like this one here that's in like a 6-inch pot, you'd say, or
yeah.
I don't know. I just watered it, and I probably won't for another like 2 months.
Yeah.
I think I've watered it like twice since I even put it in that pot months ago.
Like my big one, I maybe water 5 times a year.
Yeah. When it's in a huge pot, that soil takes a long time to dry out, and does not need to be watered when the top couple inches are dry. At all. I'm even like horrible at checking the soil. Like I usually wait until my leaves are looking like sad. I'm like, oh, you must be thirsty. So there's no question.
I will say though, with my big one, it's in a 5-gallon pot, so it's huge. I picked it up today because I had to bring plants in yesterday because it got to 32 degrees last night.
Oh no!
So I was like carrying it. I was like expecting like some heft, and it was so light. I was like, whoa!
Like most of the weight is actually in the plant itself and not in the pot. Yeah. So water lightly, you guys. They don't need to be wet.
No. They
don't need to be like inconsistently damp soil. That's not.
I did find that my wide form Adansonii, I did prefer to be like evenly moist.
Yeah, there's in the Monstera family, a lot of these guys have like slightly different care. A lot of them can be like, I don't know, applied to each other. But yeah, like I said, my Adansonii was yellowing up because I let it dry out. So they're not going to be, not all of them are as forgiving, and same with this Peru here. Not all of them are as forgiving as Deliciosa. She's like I don't know. She's strong, except when you overwater them.
Yeah.
Whenever people mess with me, they have root rot usually.
I can't even imagine Monstera root rot. Oh my god.
Yeah. When it starts getting like the leaves start browning out.
God, that would smell so bad with those roots.
I haven't really had rot, so I don't know what that smells like.
Overwater Azizi. Well, actually, I didn't overwater Azizi. Stein's overwatered. I had a huge ZZ, like massive, and it came to me soaking wet. And I should have just repotted it, but I was like, whatever, it's fine. I won't water it for forever. No, it was too late already.
Yeah, should have rescued.
Those little potato roots smelled. You know, have you ever truly let potatoes rot?
Potatoes rot? No.
That's exactly what rotting rhizomes from ZZ plants smell like. It was the most disgusting thing I've ever done plant care wise. Oh.
No, thank you.
I have nightmares about it to this day.
Were there any like creepy crawlies up in there? Like
no.
Feasting on it?
Just the worst smell you've ever imagined and the grossest textures. And,
ew.
Ugh.
I would let my ZZ get like super thirsty to the point where like the rhizome looked like wrinkly and creepy looking. Not cute. But lighting for monsteras. Now, I don't get any light in general. Everyone here is pretty much under grow light. So, in someone's actual home where they get light, where would you tell them to put monsteras?
Well, I think monsters are pretty forgiving, and people who have lower light, as long as you're okay with it not growing and more just maintaining, it'll be fine. Like, it's not going to die from just having just standard room light, but it's not going to thrive, obviously. So
yeah, and don't overwater that sucker when it's not getting
yeah.
when it's not getting lots of light. It's not drying out as fast, so it doesn't need as much water. Keep that in mind.
But if you give the more light you give it, the more it'll grow, essentially.
And then the combination of like some nice bright light with like some support, I think, is like the recipe for getting some nice, beautiful, big fenestrations.
Yeah, it's
Would you
crazy.
agree?
My big leaf on mine is about to put out another. Like, I can see it getting thicker and thicker as it's coming up. It's going to be insane.
I'm excited for mine because I do have like a big one in my room that started from a cutting from my dad, and it just put out like a really, really big leaf. But I was getting annoyed because it would alternate between giving me a second fenestration and not. But then when I see other people's plants, it looks kind of like normal. Like, it doesn't always like give you one. And then because I got 1 second fenestration and then 4, and then I got none, and then I got one more again. So I'm like, probably because I've moved her around 100 times. That could be it.
Well,
if you guys are giving your plants different light and different watering, like, you know,
they like a little
consistently.
consistency.
Yeah, they like some consistency. So if you're like all over the place with it, your plant's going to pause for a little bit and be like, I'm sorry, what are we doing here? Like, do you know what's going on? Because I don't. But yeah, the second I started giving my plants or my monstera some support, that's when those leaves get big and get some nice big fenestrations. And yeah, people always get a little bit impatient with it coming in, but it'll happen.
It's that's one of the messages I like to receive the most, or people message me and they're like, oh, how do you get fenestrations in my monstera? And I'm like, just give it light and support. And then they're like, oh my god, they'll send a picture of its first leaf with it, and they're like so excited. I'm like,
Yes, like, it's amazing. Yeah, plants like monstera, they're used to climbing in the wild, and they want to climb in your home too.
yeah.
There are some trailing guys, like, of course, the Ansoniac will trail. And Monstera will look, or Monstera deliciosa will trail if you let it, but it'll look pretty gangly and weird. Yeah, they're not crawlers. They're definitely like up to the sky.
I would say my favorite Monstera big one that I've seen is Becca de la Plante's Ansonii. That is just insane to me.
Have to go look at hers. We'll post it so you guys can see it.
It's like on a, I don't know, probably like 6-7 foot pole, and it's like skinny, and then it's like a tree. It's huge.
I know, I think I see when people's pothos do that, and they just get like bigger and bigger on the poles. I need to do that with some plants. Some of my plants that I have on support, they're not like my Florida in the corner right there. She's goofy looking. She needs a taller stick than that. What do you think when people ask you about humidity for monsteras?
I usually don't do anything special.
Same.
Again, I'm sure give them more, they'll love it more. But
yeah, they're tropical plants, so they obviously will want it, but they don't have. They're
like
not
mine,
as picky.
I don't really have any of mine that have crispy edges ever. Like, it's just not really a
Never.
thing.
No, it's not a plant that's gonna like get mad at you for humidity. So many people message me like, I'm misting it, I don't know what's wrong. You don't need to, it's okay. Plants will obviously like here's
My watch trying to talk.
your
Wants
watch.
to be the third host.
And I always see you over there like messing with your watch, like, shut up. I'm losing my train of thought. Yeah, you don't need to be misting them all the time. Sure, like, plants will appreciate like extra humid environment, but you know, instead of misting, how about dust it once in a while?
Yeah, that is my number one care tip for mine. Is
that's more helpful.
It needs to be dusted
than that.
all the time,
Yeah.
and especially when you get those big fat leaves.
Yeah, there's big leaves, lots of room for photosynthesis to happen, and it's not going to be as good if it's not, you know, able to actually get that light coming in to those leaves.
I need to wipe my big one off. It's full of pollen.
You stuck it outside. Guess that's what happens. Yeah, I haven't had any of mine outside, but I do see pretty often that people cook them because they can be pretty sensitive to direct light if they're not used to it.
Yeah.
You know, if you just stick them right in direct light, they can be acclimated to it. Everyone, but be careful just sticking it outside because you got
mine lost a leaf.
Yeah. Sad. She's like, you'll never do that again, right? Did you learn your lesson?
Now she's on the south side of the house, which she's loving.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because all the trees, so it's like
it's
very
not
half
as,
shade.
Yeah, it's not as bright as most south windows. Do you think there's any other misconceptions or mistakes people make for Monsteras?
I would say definitely the too big a pot is the number one thing I see.
Oh yeah, I have to tell people a lot to dig it out and put it in a smaller pot. Mm-hmm. They like to be root bound. You know, it's not like I don't know. I hate to say like they like it, but the thing is they, when you put them in a huge pot, they're like drowning and they're focusing more on putting out roots. They're like, I need to establish myself in here. So it's not that they're like, I want to be suffocated. Like, no, I just want to be like snug and secure, you know? So yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, that's the main, I would say that's probably the main reason I see people's decline.
Absolutely.
Other than that, like, they're the easiest plant in the world.
And they don't need to be repotted as much as any of my other plants,
Yeah.
I find, too. I've had my big one that was in that big pot. I probably need to repot this year, but it's been in that one for at least 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they can just chill there for a while and still be putting out, like, giant leaves. I'm like, okay. They just don't quit.
No, they really don't. I want my big one to turn into just one of those massive ones that are like crawling up the wall.
Oh yeah, I love when people have like like a Monstera that goes all the way up to the ceiling.
So that's my goal. Yeah,
that would be nice. And there's someone too, Cassandra, I think on TikTok. I forget their like actual like at, but I'm thinking of someone too who has like a huge big Monstera just in the corner, and I'm jealous. Mine's getting bigger. I have way too much Deliciosa for a person to have, though. I'm constantly giving it away. It's a good gift plant, but a lot of people don't want it because they already have it or whatever. It's not. It's a hard plant to trade.
Yeah.
You can't trade any.
And sometimes they're like in that in-between stage where they're just ugly. Like 2 of mine are just like, that one's cute. Like all the leaves are kind of going up. It's not too big. It's not too wonky. Where like mine are like doing the splits in the pot. And I'm like, come on.
Yeah, I have some too. There's one behind you too that's like immature and doesn't have anything fun going on, and she's just like,
it has one little split.
Yeah, but then look at the newest leaf that came out solid.
I mean, this is a perfectly green leaf.
It's perfectly healthy. Like she's just not much to look at yet. She'll be cute. She'll start showing out.
It'll get there.
Well, I think that about wraps up probably our first episode, part 1 of Monsteras. We'll be coming back on Thursday to talk about more in-depth things and Albo versus Ty.
Dun dun dun.
We're gonna get into it. Some strong opinions. Get ready to fight.
No. I'll bring my boxing gloves.
I know some people or people listening get ready to want to scream into the, but we can't hear you. Oh my God. Where can people find you, Brandon?
Well, they can find me on Instagram and TikTok, BR_Anaconda.
And now you're on YouTube.
And now I'm on YouTube. I have an official name.
Yes, finally.
You can find me on YouTube. It's Brandon Botanical.
Yes.
I think it's like youtube.com/Brandon Botanical. It's also linked and everything. So, yeah, you can find me on there now too.
Yeah, and go check out Monstera Plant Co. You guys have a sale going on right now, but it's not going to be going on when people listen to it. Well, you do have sale. People always love a good plant sale.
Well, this will be coming out in June, so we'll probably do some sort of Pride sale, I'm
sure. Yeah, we love it. Rainbow plants.
We paint each leaf a different color and ship it to you.
Oh, yeah, send people some rainbow succulents. Oh, no. The department store's got that covered.
Yeah. Home Depot. I'll just go grab those. Where can they find you? I'm on Instagram at Nicole, Nayycole, Nicole Larson, and TikTok at Nicole Larson with an extra N at the end. I don't know what else is going on. What else do I have? I don't know. I have Patreon.
Go look in my link tree. There's things going on there.
Yeah, and you can find us together at Where Are We Growing?
Where Are We Growing? Go follow us on Instagram.
Oh, we just got our first email.
Yes.
Oh my God, we were going to answer that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
Here we are. Then I was like, oh, all right.
it's a little bonus content. Oh, okay. Come on, pull it up. No, these are the wrong
We're
emails.
prepared.
Okay, this question is from Katie McFadden.
Hi, Katie.
She says, hi to both of you. Love listening to your podcast. Quick question on pests. I have a spider plant for 3+ years and just repotted and split into 4 different pots. I use indoor potting soil. In the past, I have 0 pests, but should I be concerned about pests after repotting? I have 0 other plants, so just curious. Love your show. Oh.
Well, thank you. 0 other plants, just a bunch of spider plant babies? Cute. I don't think I would be, like, newly worried about pests unless it came along with, like, new soil, if there's any fungus gnats that are, like, fresh soil.
So probably nothing to worry about. If you are worried, maybe do a hydrogen peroxide rinse in the new soil. But as long as you're not overwatering, you really shouldn't be.
And I like a nice, like, mixed plant spray, too. I use that as a preventative for a lot of my plants, just so I don't have to actually worry about buggies. And
the nice thing, too, is if you only have one plant and its babies, you're not bringing plants in and out, so the chance of pests coming in with them, not as much. So
yeah, a lot of pests that people bring in are usually with new plants. So, and you can bring it on your clothing, too.
Yeah. Gross. I know. I was going to deal with those mealy bugs that popped up the other day, and I was like,
I couldn't believe that.
I'm not.
How big that mealy
I just
bug
sprayed
was
them down,
that
put them in a bucket, and
we literally just got done talking about pests like in the last episodes.
And then I come home.
You went home and saw it.
I was like, knock on wood, I've never had mealybugs.
And you went home and just found a big mealybug looking at you in the eyes.
Literally. Pointing at me.
Yeah. Giving the little finger like, hi, here I am on your calathea. Having a little party.
Oh, God.
Anyways, guys, if you're still with us, hi, shout out to you.
No. Well, thank you so much, you guys, for listening. Thank you, Katie, for your question. We really appreciate it.
Send us your questions at wherearewegrowing at email.com.
At email.com.
On that note.
Okay.
See you guys Thursday.
We'll see you next week. Bye, guys.
Not next week.
Next 3 days.
End it.
Crash and burn.